Hey guys, this is a video on how to make your own concrete wood stove hearth with a metal cutout design integrated in it. So it's going to be a series of videos and it's going to walk you through all the steps of making your own. And the cool thing about it is you could use your own dimensions and whatever design you want to put in it, or just no design at all, just straight concrete. All right, let's go. What's up everyone? Today I'm going to walk you guys through making your own wood stove hearth made out of concrete. So I will do my best to my abilities to get this project step by step. I've never done this before. I've watched a lot of videos, in particular DIY Pete's concrete videos. He's a super awesome guy, very creative, and does a lot of projects with concrete. Tabletops, fire pits, and all kinds of different things. You know, coffee tables, dining room tables, and all that stuff. So I'm taking the same strategy and steps that he does for his countertops and tabletops, and I will just do the exact same thing, only to make a wood stove hearth. I looked online and also some of the local stores for a prefabricated one. I'm sure you guys have seen it before, especially if you're watching this video. You're obviously looking for a wood stove hearth, and my particular size that I needed, it was going to be almost $700. So if my math is right, making my own, I will be under $200. And you could probably get away with this by, even with materials and everything else, screws, all that stuff to prep for the concrete pour and everything, you could get it done for $100. So having said that, I got my this is where the wood stove is going to be, in this corner here. I have a cutout of the footprint of the wood stove, and that's where the stovepipe is going to be. And I just need to align the center of that dot with the center of where the pipe is going to go through the ceiling. So once I figure that part out, then I will make my proper measurements and see how big that hearth needs to be. And my particular state and state of Oregon, the hearth needs to stick out 16 inches past the front of the wood stove. And so I need to make sure that I don't screw that up. So I'm gonna get the plumb bob and get it to line up perfectly, and then from there I'll start making my measurements. Here we go. Okay, so now that we got that pretty close to exactly where the wood stove is going to be, I will start making some measurements and see how big my hearth needs to be. So like I said, it needs to come out 16 inches from the front of the wood stove. So to be on the side of caution, I think I'm going to make it maybe 17 inches to give us a little bit of wiggle room. I know it's not much, but hopefully that'll work out for me. So here we go. I'm making sure I'm not bumping into that to move it off center with the pipe. And I'm just measuring from the front here at 17 inches, or close to that anyways. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'll get this level. And like I said, I don't want to bump into that plastic cutout because I don't want to get it off center. So I'll give myself about 1/4 of an inch And just to make sure that this line here, the gap looks pretty even, then I'll get my Sharpie, if I know where I put it, my marker, and I'll make a mark on my blue level here. Okay, so I'm going to do the same here. Again, I don't want to bump the plastic. Make a marking on my blue level. Okay. Okay, 31/5/8. This is the measurement that's very important. It is 53.5. Okay, I'm going to write that down. And a half. Making my, just a little diagram. There's the corner. My measurement this way is 53.5. This measurement here should be the same, but we'll double check it just to make sure we're nice and square. And 53.5. Okay. Okay, so here's my diagram. So here's the corner. Wood stove will be like over here somewhere. Here's the pipe. Okay? Whoops, except that this needs to be parallel with this line here. Anyways, sorry, I'm doing this upside down. Okay, so 53.5, 53.5, 31/5/8, 31/5/8, and then this will make my this cutout here nice and even once I get these measurements. So alright, so hopefully now we can transfer this on the mold, and I won't screw this up too much. We'll see. Alright. Okay, so I made a slight change in the measurement, going over everything just to make sure everything makes sense before I start cutting the mold. And what I realized was, when I made my measurements, I made this corner here and this one here in perfect line with these corners. And when the wood stove glass door opens this way, I was afraid that it would overlap the actual floor when it reached this area here. So what I did is I went ahead and I moved this corner here about 4 inches this way. So this line comes out, further out, and in turn this line is longer. So we went from 53.5 to 57, okay, which made this measurement here a little bit shorter. From 31/5/8, it went to 28. So I'm going to do that. So it's going to be a little bit bigger from corner along the wall by 4 inches, but I think that will be good. So those are the measurements I changed. So I just wanted to make sure if you guys were not all confused once I started going into cutting the mold out, you're like, wait, those are not the measurements you took earlier. So these are our new measurements. Alrighty. I got my milling board. My first measurement is 57 inches. So So I go to 57, get my straight edge. Okay, I'm gonna cut this. The thing is, it also needs to be 57 inches this way. So I need to add to this about 8 inches. Anyways, but I'll make my first cut here with my saw. Alright, you guys. So I got the main piece that I cut. So it's, let's see, it is 49 inches by 57, but it needs to be 57 by 57, which is why I have this 8 inch by 57 piece. Here, I'll show you guys another angle. See? Once this is sandwiched together, now it's one big square, 57 by 57. Okay. Okay, so I made a mark on my drill bit to only go 3/4 of the way in, which basically just in the top board. So the screw, which is only 1 inch, will go in this lower board, the main board, and really bite into it. That's why I'm not gonna pre-drill into that one also, because not very much is going to go in there, just 1/4 of an inch. So and these screws are 1 inch, so here we go. Alright, so I finished this part here. Here's the seam. Right here. So that's done. And now I measured 28 inches from that corner to there. And then the same 28 inches from there to here. I set my guide up so I could make a nice clean cut. And then what I'll do is I'll sandwich another board like this down this way too, and maybe a couple of them, just to make sure that the board doesn't start warping on me when all that weight from the concrete sits on it. So I'll sandwich some more boards throughout it just to make sure it's nice and sturdy and it's not gonna flex on me when we pour the concrete. But I'm gonna make this cut and then add some more boards on top, and then flip it over and start working on our walls, the little plates. So here we go. Alright, so I totally screwed up. I was getting ready to prop this on its edge. The piece I just did, prop it on its edge so I could get to the sheet under it so I could start cutting the thin pieces for the wall. Well, wasn't thinking, my head was somewhere else, and I put this edge down and I was going to prop it over, and now all that weight and pressure popped it off. So I'm going to take a whole those screws off And I think I'm gonna lay this way, a number of them, from there to there, there, and there, and just get a good solid piece. So I'm gonna do that and then get back on here. If you guys haven't used one of these before, these are actually awesome. It's a Craig jig. A coworker of mine actually let me borrow it. I mean, I don't have a table saw yet. I had one and it broke and I haven't really replaced it. But so this Craig jig works really good if you have the same size cuts that you have to rip a whole bunch. You just set your jig to the right width and then put your saw in here and just follow the straight edge right here. Keep it against a good straight edge, like a factory edge, to get your first cut, and then you know that the next cut is also really straight, and just keep going and keep going. And yeah, it took me no time to cut these boards right here, right there. So pretty awesome. Okay, so to make sure that this seam here doesn't transpire on the concrete, because we want this to be as perfect as possible so it doesn't show it on the concrete, what I'm going to do is put a very small bead of silicone on there and scrape it so it's nice and smooth, and then over that I'm going to put some Scotch tape. So I'm going to do that really quick. And I'm going to use my square . Actually, it works better with my hands. So we'll see if that does the trick. Probably better than nothing. Okay, so you always want to make sure that you do pilot holes before you put your screw in. With pilot holes, you want to make sure that you center them in the center of the board, because otherwise it could split or bulge out, and then that will show on your concrete. So make sure you take your time with this. I think I'm going to snap a chalk line where I want to drill, just to make sure I don't make a mistake. So because that would be a bummer, putting this much work in a project like this and then screwing that part up. So I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm just going to drill pilot holes. See? Right there. And I did one on that end, and I'm going to snap a chalk line to show me where I need to drill to make sure I don't screw that up. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. Alright everyone, so this took a little longer than I was expecting, that's for sure. So I put some hog wire, I think it's 6x6 inch on the squares, and then I did the perimeter with rebar, and then I ran some rebar down the middle, and then those two down the middle. The majority of the weight, obviously, it's going to be concentrating on the center of this. So I figured it wouldn't hurt to just kind of go overboard on the rebar. I had it handy, so I might as well use it. So again, this is a 2-inch thick slab. It's 2 inches thick with rebar. I'm gonna be adding a little bit of dark pigment, black pigment to the concrete. I'll show you guys when I do that. But what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna take this out, set it aside, set it handy, and vacuum and clean the area really well. And like I said before, you could use rubbing alcohol or any kind of like paint cleaning supplies or anything like that. It doesn't leave any like residual, you know, anything on the surface.